They say your first love defines you. At 20, I thought that meant romance, fireworks, late-night talks until sunrise. I thought love was all about connection, passion, being wanted. Then I met Alyssa. And I realized love, real love, can also be manipulation wearing lipstick. She was 25. A full 5 years older than me, and it showed in every way. Her walk had purpose. Her eyes, sharp with history I hadn't lived. Her laugh? Low, intoxicating, the kind that pulled people in and made them wonder what private joke they'd missed. She wasn't just older. She was magnetic. Unshakable. The type of woman who walked into a room and didn't need to say a word. The room just rearranged itself around her. And I was just a college kid. Living off ramen and student loans. Sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 roommates. Still figuring out if I liked my own handwriting. But she looked at me. She chose me. And that alone felt like a miracle. We met at an art exhibit I didn't even want to attend. A friend dragged me along, promising free drinks and culture. I showed up in sneakers. She arrived like a Vogue shoot. Black silk, gold earrings that caught the gallery lights just right. And a smirk that said she'd seen men like me and devoured them whole. She noticed me first. Which felt impossible because every other man in the room was staring at her. She walked up, glanced at my plastic cup of cheap white wine, and said, "You look like you're pretending to enjoy this." I laughed, awkward, but genuine. And from that moment, she had me. Our first date lasted 6 hours. Drinks turned into dinner. Dinner turned into rooftop cigarettes I didn't even smoke. And by 3 a.m., I was already addicted, not to her touch, not even her voice, but the way she made me feel seen. She asked about my goals, my childhood, my stupidest fears. She made eye contact like she was reading scripture. She didn't interrupt, didn't giggle, she listened like I mattered. No one had ever made me feel that way. We moved fast. Too fast. Within weeks, we were inseparable. I was spending nights at her place, minimalist, expensive, filled with glass and gray tones. It felt like a different world. Like stepping out of my student life into something curated and adult. And she made me feel like I belonged there. I started skipping nights with my friends. Canceled plans. Turned down internships because they'd take too much time. I didn't notice it happening. Didn't realize how much of myself I was giving up. I was just trying to keep her, this goddess of sophistication and confidence, happy. And I thought, if I could just keep doing things right, she'd never leave. Looking back, the signs were there. How she dismissed my opinions with a smirk. How she gently teased my ambitions as adorable. How she always knew the perfect way to make me feel small, while still sounding like she was being honest. But I didn't see it. I was blind. Because when someone hands you the kind of love you never thought you'd deserve, you ignore the poison in the cup. And all it took was one night. One hug. One misunderstanding. To turn the dream into a nightmare. It was supposed to be a normal night. My roommate had just turned 21, and we were throwing a small birthday party, cheap drinks, dollar store balloons, too loud music from a Bluetooth speaker. Nothing fancy. Just laughter, chaos, and friends trying to forget about exams. I brought Alyssa. It was her first time meeting most of my college crew, the people who knew me when I was still awkward, broke, and honest. I was nervous. But she seemed off. She smiled politely, sipped her drink, but I could tell something inside her was calculating. She wasn't the type to blend in, and she hated being in places where she didn't control the conversation. Still, I tried to make her feel welcome. Introduced her to everyone. Held her hand tightly. And then it happened. I saw Marissa, one of my oldest friends. She'd transferred schools the year before, and I hadn't seen her since. She squealed, ran up, and hugged me. A tight, excited, 2 seconds too long kind of hug. The kind you give someone who once lent you money for a cab home at 3 a.m., who held your hand during a panic attack, who stayed up helping you pass statistics. To me, it meant nothing romantic. To Alyssa, it was betrayal. I didn't realize it then. But as we left the party early, her jaw clenched, her silence cold, I felt it. Something had cracked. The car ride home was unbearable. No music. No jokes. Just the sound of the turn signal and her chewing the inside of her cheek. So, she finally said, "That girl seemed friendly." "Who, Marissa?" "The one who nearly climbed inside your jacket." I chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. "Wrong move." "Seriously?" she snapped. "You think that was appropriate?" I blinked. It was a hug, Alyssa. A normal hug. Right, she said, her voice dripping with venom. A normal hug from someone you used to like. Don't lie. I froze. She'd stalked my old Instagram photos. Read too much into an old comment. Twisted a 5-second gesture into evidence of betrayal. You're being paranoid. No, she said. I'm being realistic. And I'm not stupid. We fought. God, we fought hard. I kept trying to explain. She kept twisting my words. And when I finally said, you know I'd never cheat on you, she just stared at me. Like she didn't believe me. Or worse, like it didn't even matter anymore. The next day, she ghosted me. No replies. No good morning texts. Radio silence. At first, I thought she needed space. I figured I'd give her a day. Then 2 days passed. Still nothing. And on the third night, I got the call. Hey, she said, voice flat, like we hadn't fought at all. I've been thinking. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. The words hit like ice water. Because of a hug? Because of how easy it is for you to betray trust. Alyssa, I didn't. Don't bother. It's fine. I already made peace with it. Made peace? How? Silence. Then, calmly, like she was reading off a grocery list. I slept with someone. My mouth went dry. Who? And then she said his name. Connor. Tom stopped. Connor wasn't just some guy. He was the guy who made my life hell in high school. He bullied me for my clothes, my GPA, my stutter. He once pinned me to a locker and whispered, you'll never get a real girl, loser. Now, years later, the woman I gave everything to slept with him. Why him? I asked, barely breathing. Because he was available, she said coldly. And because now we're even. Even. Like this was a scoreboard. Like my hug was equal to her betrayal. Like intimacy was a weapon and she just pulled the trigger. I didn't scream. Didn't cry. I sat on the edge of my bed, numb, listening to her breathe on the other end of the line. And in that moment, something shifted. Not just in how I saw her, but in how I saw myself. After she said it, after she calmly admitted she slept with Connor, the line went silent. I think she expected me to explode. To cry. To call her names. To beg her to come back. But I didn't. I just whispered. Why are you telling me this? She exhaled slowly, as if the act of confession gave her relief. Because I want us to move forward. Move forward? You just told me you slept with my high school bully. Yes, she said flatly. And you hugged someone you used to like. So we're even. Even. That word again. She said it like it was math. Like pain could be tallied and zeroed out. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My brain was still trying to process the reality she was building, a warped, upside-down version of fairness where love was a game and betrayal was part of the rules. A few days later, she called again. Let's meet. I owe you at least that much. I didn't want to. But curiosity, or weakness, made me say yes. We met at a park, early evening. The sun was low, casting gold across the benches and pavement. She wore her favorite beige trench coat and no makeup, trying to look raw, real. I sat down. She didn't look at me right away. I know what I did was horrible, she said softly. And I've been thinking, if it'll help you forgive me, I want to give you something. She pulled a folded piece of paper from her coat and slid it across the bench. It was handwritten. A list. Names. What's this? I asked. She looked me in the eye for the first time. A list of people you can sleep with. I thought she was joking. I'm giving you a free pass, she continued. One night. No strings. No judgment. Whoever you want. Then we can start fresh. I stared at her. Not because I didn't understand what she was offering, but because of how easily she offered it. Like forgiveness was a favor she could buy with sex. Like respect was something she could barter back with flesh. You think this fixes anything? I asked, voice trembling. It balances things out. This isn't justice, Alyssa. It's detachment. It's cold. I just want us to be okay. You want to silence your guilt. She blinked. That hit her harder than anything else I'd said. Because it was the truth. What she wanted wasn't reconciliation. She wanted a loophole. A shortcut. A fast-forward button past the pain so she wouldn't have to sit with the consequences. And giving me a free pass. That was her twisted way of wiping her slate clean without ever having to apologize. Keep your list, I said, standing up. I'm not interested in getting even. I'm interested in getting out. Her voice cracked behind me. So you're just leaving? I didn't look back. No, I said quietly. I'm setting myself free. That night, I lay in bed thinking, not about revenge. Not about the pain. But about the version of myself I had almost become, someone who stayed in a broken house just because he helped build it. And I realized something. I wasn't heartbroken. I was done. When I walked away from Alyssa at that park, when I rejected her twisted, free pass, like it was a door handle to hell, I felt something strange. It wasn't closure. Not yet. It was the beginning of something else. A shift. Like stepping into clean air after years of breathing smoke. But here's the thing about people like Alyssa. They don't let go easily. Not because they love you. But because your obedience was part of their identity. When you leave, you take part of their illusion with you, and they'll do anything to get it back. The messages started 2 days later. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. Can we talk? I ignored them. She followed up with photos. Old selfies. Videos of us laughing in bed. Clips of her whispering, I love you from months ago. At first, I felt sick. Then I felt nothing. But she wasn't done. She emailed me a playlist. 20 tracks with titles like Come Back to Me, Forgiveness, and Second Chances. Then she sent a letter. 6 pages. Handwritten. Stained at the corner like maybe she cried while writing it. Or maybe she just wanted it to look that way. In it, she called me the most real thing I've ever had. Said Connor meant nothing, just a reaction to her insecurity. Said she'd go to therapy. Change. Do anything. She even ended it with, if you need to hurt me back, I'll understand. But please don't forget what we had. I didn't respond. And that silence, my silence, was louder than any insult I could have thrown. That's when it escalated. She showed up outside my building. Hair messy. Eyes red. One of my hoodies wrapped around her like it still belonged to her. She held a coffee, my order. Said she just happened to be in the neighborhood. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I just wanted to see you. You shouldn't be here, I said. I miss you. We were good together. We were a lie. That hit her. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. I'll do anything. Please. Let's just talk. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. But I knew that trap. You don't let the fire back in just because it's raining outside. There's nothing to say, I told her. So that's it, she whispered. You're just done. Yes. She broke then. Tears, shaking, panic. She started shouting, accusing me of giving up. Calling me a coward. Saying I was throwing away something rare. I didn't answer. Because I knew now. Rare doesn't mean right. Intense doesn't mean healthy. And when love feels like drowning with brief gasps of oxygen, that's not love. That's survival. The next morning, she texted again. I'm sorry. That wasn't me yesterday. No, it was her. It had always been her. I just finally had the clarity to see it. So I blocked her. Phone. Email. Socials. Everything. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. Not the kind of peace that sings. The kind that hums quietly. That lets you sleep through the night. That lets you walk through your apartment without looking at your phone every 5 minutes. It was small. But it was mine. And it grew with every day of silence. Healing doesn't arrive with fanfare. There's no dramatic scene where you wake up, look in the mirror, and suddenly love yourself again. No music swells in the background. No text message appears saying you've moved on. No. Real healing is slower. Quieter. More sacred. It happens in the small moments. In the way your hands stop shaking when her name comes up. In the way you forget to check her profile. In the moment you realize you went a whole week without thinking about her. That's what it looked like for me. Not a grand rebirth, but a slow unfurling, like a body waking up from years of tension. I started rebuilding, not to prove anything to her. Not to show anyone that I was doing better, but because I finally had the space to ask, who am I without her shadow over me? I hit the gym. I called my parents. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years because she didn't like them. I read books that made me think. Cooked dinners that didn't come from boxes. Slept without nightmares. And one day, standing in the middle of my small, sunlit apartment, I realized I wasn't healing anymore. I was healed. Some time later, I heard through a mutual friend that Alyssa had moved. New city. New boyfriend. Same eyes. Same patterns. Apparently, she tried to pull the same free pass trick on him. Only this time, it backfired. I didn't feel smug. Didn't feel sorry either. I felt nothing. And nothing, when you've lived through emotional chaos, is the most liberating feeling in the world. Now, when people ask about my first love, I don't tell them about the betrayal. I tell them what I learned. That love without respect is just dependence. That control dressed up as affection is still abuse. That the people who try to test your love are only confirming they don't deserve it. And most of all, that walking away from someone who made you question your worth, isn't weakness. It's power. I didn't just heal. I didn't just recover. I became untouchable. Because when you rise out of that kind of fire, when you learn to breathe again without them, there's nothing left they can take from you. Not your peace. Not your dignity. Not your future. You win. Just by surviving. Just by choosing you.